Anyways,
Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. We do this every Monday morning about 9 o'clock. Kind of go over everything coming and going and the things happening in the real estate world. So my name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Max One Realty and Realtor Partners.
that was a mouthful.
That was-
My name is Ming Richardson, the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
I got a lot of stuff to share.
I know.
It's really important. Hey, we wanted to kind of start off today with talking a little bit about like a PSA, public service announcement. So we've got two different kind of fraudulent,
Fraudulent.
thank you, activities happening right now. We want to make sure that you're aware of. First of all, we got somebody who's going around claiming to be a Maximum One agent who was doing credit checks on buyers.
Our own agents, buyers.
And first of all, we would never do that. None of our agents would ever do that. And that's so besides not the fact it's not being us, I don't care who is saying that they're doing credit checks on buyers. That's
Not our business.
No, we sell real estate, stay in your lane. The other one that we're seeing a lot going on is we're seeing a lot of vacant property fraud, as well as properties that don't have mortgages. So anything that doesn't have a mortgage, whether it's vacant land, even completed houses that don't have mortgages, they are the ones that are the most susceptible to fraud going on right now. And so we have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves as well as protecting the public at large. The
And typically these buyers, you'll never meet them in person. They'll do FaceTime, they will do remote mail away, they'll do a lot of stuff, but they'll never show up in person. And their ID are so good that,
some of them are really good. Some of them are fakes, but you got to watch out because most of the time they're going to try and sell the property for undervalue. They're gonna because they need to get rid of it quickly. So they're gonna ask you like what's the best price to be able to unload this property quickly. They won't be able to come to closing. Everything is a mail away. The docs are a little bit sketchy sometimes, that kind of thing. So your spidey sense should really go off when it's a property that doesn't have a mortgage to begin with. And then, is there anything that you just need to make sure that the closing attorneys, we're an attorney state, so we don't have as much fraud here as there are in other states, but still it's going on everywhere. And so we just want to make sure that you guys are being prepared and
just look for the warning sign. When in doubt, contact the closing attorney. If not, contact the brokers.
That's it, exactly. All right. We kind of wanted to kind of jump over into like what's happening over in the economy, that kind of stuff. And so kind of starting off with, our core consumer inflation, that's been going down. It dropped again this past month. And so we're glad to see that. But it hasn't really equated that much yet over into interest rates. So interest rates actually went up before they came back down, but still we're not seeing much hope on the side of interest rates. Interest rates are still being one of our biggest challenges right now. It's second to inventory, but still it is our largest, our second largest challenge. Inventory is the first one. So this is the market that we're kind of dealing with, and we have to be ready for that. Now, at the same time, not all news is bad news, right? Like what's happening with prices. But you can see that, the home purchase index continues to go up. There's only one market in the entire United States right now that's showing down at all. And so the vast majority, 99% of the markets in the US, basically all the markets in the US
Are still going up,
are still kind of moving up. And you can kind of see that, and so the core logic came out, and
that's national database.
And national database, but actually Georgia's kind of right in there as well. And so month over month up about 1.5%. They're looking at for the year finishing out at 4.5%, and that is crazy healthy for us. Like if you,
that's typically the norm.
Yeah, over the last 50 years, property value has appreciated at 4.5% for the last 50 plus years. So 4.5% property value appreciation, very healthy, a good stable market for us. That's kind of where we've been for years, and we're really glad to see that. Now, at the same time, we also have Atlanta in it at the same while we're talking about pricing. Atlanta is one of 5 cities that have set new index peaks, meaning that we have set new record levels on property value increases as well as appreciation here. And so you can see that that, there's 5 cities, a lot of our big cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, New York. And so we're a big one up here. And so you can see that overall, since 2019, we've had 49% property value increases.
Since 2019.
Yeah.
So in a short span of less than 3.5 years, you have, 4.5 years, you have a span of 49.1% increase of value.
Well, the other big number here that I hope stands out is that inventory levels since 2019 are down 46%. We have almost half as many homes for sale now than we had in 2019. And if you really, for those of us that were in the business in 2019, that was a good year. I mean, there wasn't anything bad about 2019.
No, actually, it was what I call a regular market.
Yeah.
It's when the pandemic hit, is when we went off the rocket, and now we're correcting that in that height.
Right. So, inventory continues to be one of those things that is really, really hounding us in a big, big way right now.
Correct.
And a lot of that's coming from new listings. Right now, you can see kind of what's been happening with new listings coming on the market. I mean, other than what happened right there when COVID hit, we're pretty much our lowest level of new inventory listings coming onto the market right now. And so, that's been like that's a bigger challenge to us right now than interest rates are, because we just don't physically have enough homes to sell at all. You can see that new listings for homes nationwide is down 27%. Here in Atlanta, we're down about 30, right at 33%. And then, total inventory is down 14% from last year. Like I said, 46% since 2019. And so inventory continues to be a really, really tight market for us. And it's kind of affecting our buyers in a lot of different ways.
High interest rate, low inventory, it makes purchasing a little discouraging, and I get that all day. But at the end of the day, you still need a roof over your head. So what do you want to do?
Well, I mean, this is one of those where we got to be ready to show some empathy. This is from Lending Tree. They said, did you lose sleep due to stress when you most recently bought your home? 2/3 of folks said yes, definitely, and yes, somewhat. 2/3 of the folks that we're working with are losing sleep through the home buying process. So is this stressful?
Absolutely. So
Absolutely
agents, you need to really educate your client and let them know what the market's doing. Educate them and talk to the listing agent to see if the seller's motivated. Because right now we do have some motivated seller, even though they think the market is still there. But after sitting in the market for a little while, they understand they probably are motivated at that time.
Well, but the other, I guess the thing about the market is right now, folks have kind of reached that point where it's kind of like, this is what it is. We went through, especially when rates started going up last year, that really messed up and changed a lot of the home buyer and home seller sentiments. But you can kind of see on here, they poll the buyers and sellers every single month, and everyone's just kind of reaching that plateau of this is where it is. Yes, everyone kind of jumped to when the market shifted, when interest rates moved last year, but now it's becoming much more like, this is the market that we're in. This is kind of what's going on. We're kind of, I'm not going to say stuck, but this is where we're at, right? And we're not seeing properties decline. We're not seeing properties continue, are not going to be declining in the future.
And foreclosure is so minimal.
They really are low.
Because everybody's got equity. So why wouldn't they sell versus going to foreclosure?
Yeah. And so, there was another recent study which said, as far as are you, they polled thousands of people and said, how likely are you to buy a home in the next 6 months? So even though all this is going on, almost 20% of folks, just
are wanting to buy the property. So you got 2% greater of people that want to buy the property versus the people want to sell. So you still in the plus as far as buyer demands, even though with low inventory.
Well, it's not just that. It's not that there is more demand on the buy side, But now we also have 16% of homeowners, 16% say that they are likely to sell in the next 6 months. And so I mean, like 16% of a market is huge. Call 100 buyers or 100 sellers, and 16 are going to be interested in selling in the next month.
Right.
And so should you be calling 100 potential sellers? Absolutely, because 100, 16%, just the law of averages means that that's going to be a really smart play. At the same time, there's another new study, and these two kind of work so closely together, and said, what percent of homeowners who desire to sell their home within the next 6 months were inclined to do so after speaking with an agent? 2/3, 64.5% of potential sellers said that they decided to sell after speaking to an agent.
You know what that is? It's seller confidence, because agents, when you give seller the data, what the market is doing and what to expect, it gives some type of stability to the seller, to where they feel like, okay, this is what we need to do in order to achieve the goal. So when you don't have anybody other than online, because you see all these different type of online comments, you're trying to decipher which one's correct.
Oh,
because just
the
remember,
news is all over the place. Yeah.
And real estate is very local. So you can't take what somebody said in Arizona, California, New York, and apply to Georgia, because that's not the case. Or even Atlanta. You can't compare Albany, Georgia versus Atlanta, Georgia, two different separate markets.
Yeah. So, what does that mean for us kind of moving forward? Well, right now, the employment sector has been kind of going all over the place. And employment's really, really still very, very strong, kind of over across the board, except for realtors. Right now, in the last, roughly 3 to 6 months, we've lost 60,000 realtors in the US. And so now we had reached a peak. I'm not saying that we hadn't, but just in a very fairly short amount of time, losing 60,000 realtors in the United States, that's a significant number that we've seen leaving the industry. And that's troubling for us, because there's a lot of factors why we feel that is, but like this is a trend that we're concerned about, right? The NAR just came out with their recent survey of agents. I mean, of what real,
what agents are saying out there is about 7% say they're not certain that they'll stay in real estate next 2 years. Only 17% says someone's certain, and 76%. So about 3/4 of our data, our workforce says that they will stay in real estate next 2 years.
So that means a quarter of realtors are not sure that they're going to stay in the business over the next 2 years. And, that has us concerned, because, like we care about the real estate industry. We care about realtors. These are very important things. And so, like why do people leave? Well, they leave when they're not making any money.
Correct.
And I mean,
they feed a family.
That's the bottom line. People leave when the market shifts, when things are hard. And so we definitely have seen a shifting market. At the same time, we've seen where there's so many companies out there, selling lead generation and doing something like this. And I know that a lot of agents are looking for the easy buttons. They really are. They're looking for that. All I want to do is just pick up the phone, or not even pick up the phone. I want a buyer or a seller to call me right now, and I don't have to do anything. Well, I hate to break it to you, Buttercup, but that's not how this works. Like you have to be the person.
Well, and our business
that is running your business.
Well, our business is about relationships. So if you don't develop that relationship, you will not get a business, because everybody that probably know at least 5 different realtors within their spheres.
Right. Well, the other thing is you have to run your business like a business, and so one of those things that you really need is you need systems. Accountability, and you need to have plans. And so
we devise the Monday morning.
Well, what we are putting in place, and even if you're not going to come into the office and do that kind of stuff, you still need to understand what we're talking to real estate professionals here. Okay, that this is not. I'm not talking to buyers and sellers. We're talking to folks inside our industry. And so one thing that we're doing in our office, and we encourage you to please come in, is weekly accountability sessions every Monday morning in all of our offices. Come in, we start off with backstory, and then we go through, and then we have an accountability session. And in addition to that, we're doing calling sessions every day in our offices, where every day, every morning, we're getting together and calling out.
And I will tell you, there's synergy when you have someone come in and do the same thing. So you don't feel like, real estate, we feel like a small fish in a big pond. So when you come in and actually interact and also network, it does good to the soul. I just promise you, it will do you well.
Well, but you have to start off with like knowing your numbers. And this is something that Ming and I teach and have done ourselves for years.
Mhm.
And that is, you have to know what your numbers are. And I say, well, do you know what your numbers are to a lot of folks? And they're like, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And so I want to kind of walk you through just really quickly, like what kind of numbers do you need to know? And so, one of the first numbers that you want to know is like, what's your average sale price? And so, you go in and you start off with what your average sale price is. Now, if you don't know what your average sale price is, all you have to do is go into the MLSs and you can see
And
what
the average sale price in your local market.
So like we're in Henry County. And so, the average sale price in Henry County, $340,000. Clayton County, $265,000. Fayette County is almost $5. Coweta is 410, I believe, that kind of stuff. So, like figure out whatever your average sale price is, and go ahead and let's start with that number. And then after that, what's your average commission goal? Like what do you charge? Which I put in 2.7 in this example, largely because that's the national average. The national average is 2.7%.
Well, sometimes you'll have a co-op listing with 2.5 or 3%. So, you never know. And most of our buyer's agent are not gun shy, but they don't want their buyer to pay or make up the difference between 2.5 and 3%.
Well,
but so that's how we picked a number of 2.7, which is also a national average.
Well, I just picked the national average, and we want to be clear that there is no price fixing. We're not saying that there's not a normal, there's not an average, but by the same token, I can tell you that is the national average. But no one sets any kind of pricing in Georgia or anywhere in the U.S. And so once you take that, then you can say, okay, then this is my average sale price. This is my average commission. This should be my average commission. And so this should be my average net commission out. This is how, when the average home sells, this is how much I should make. Now, once you have that number, then you say, okay, how much do I want to make next year? I want to make 50,000, 100,000, 300,000, 120. Well, in my example here, $125,000. And so if you want to figure out like the first number you really have to know, you have to take 125,000, which I'm doing on my calculator while I'm talking about it, and I divide that by 9180. And so that means that I need, always round up, 14 transactions next year. Because if I do 14 transactions and my average commission is $9,180, I'm going to make $125,000 in commission next year. Now, if you extrapolate that out, you'll see that my gross revenue,
4.6 million.
4.6 million. That's what I need to do. But now we get into the real nitty gritty here, right? We need to be able to decide, not just decide, but we need to know, what does that really mean in like me going to work? What do I need to do? And especially when you put together like how many sellers decided to sell after speaking to an agent. So how many conversations do you have to have about real estate before someone's going to transact business with you? And the magic number is 40. You need 40 conversations about real estate. 1 out of every 40 will transact the business with you. And so if I want to do 14 transactions and I need 40 conversations to get that means I need 560 or 545 yearly conversations that I need to have. I take those conversations and I divide that by 12. And that means that I need to have 45 conversations a month or 11 a week.
Or 2 daily.
I mean, all it works out to is I got to have 2 conversations a day about real estate. Now the kicker here is that it is conversations about real estate. I may have to have 20 conversations to have 2 about real estate. But you know, that's what when we say show up and make the calls. Not every only 3% of our market is buying at any given time. Only 3%, and so that means that we need to be like reaching out, engaging, talking to folks in our sphere of influence, not selling anybody, having relationships, building relationships, talking to folks, talking about what's really happening in the market. You know, why buying it is a really smart move, even with these interest rates, even because wealth in the United States is tied up in home ownership. So, you know, when you know your numbers, like 70% of your, like 70% of your appointments will end in a transaction. That's how I end up with 23 appointments. If I make 23 appointments, 70% of 23 appointments, that's how I'm going to get my total transactions goal for next year. So understand that you need to know your numbers, because without knowing your numbers, you can't set adequate goals for what you need to do. How many phone calls do you need to make a day? How many conversations do you need to have about real estate every day? And then the other thing that we need some accountability, right? And so like this is a very basic accountability form that we really believe in, right? And so, you know, how many days did you work? Because the first thing you have to do is put your time in. So did you work 5 days last week? You know, I'm not saying you have to work 7 days. I'm not a believer of 7-day work weeks in real estate.
We do believe in balance.
Yeah. And so how many dials did I have to make last week? How many calls did I make out? How many property alerts did I share into my database last week? How many appointments did I set last week? And then for this week coming up,
what's my goal?
What's my goal for how many dials am I going to make? How many property alerts am I going to do? How many appointments am I going to set? And then what are the 3 lead generating activities that I'm going to do this week to achieve those goals?
Whether it's attending your grandkids or your kids' soccer ball field, and have a conversation with those soccer moms or what have you, just remember they all need a home at some point, if they don't have any already, or to sell one. So, you know, it can be any community events that you go to. Make sure your name tag is, you know, visible, just so people know that's what you do.
At least a little realtor tag.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are gun shy about it. Then put a realtor tag so they can recognize or have a conversation piece. What is that pin on your pocket? And I said, oh, I'm a realtor. So these are just little things that you can do subtle if you don't want to have the full bulging name tag on you. But I will tell you that, you know, grocery store is one of them. I have agents dress up with orange shirt and go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
And, you know, people stop and thinking they're staff members, and then they tell them about real estate.
Social media, you know, expired listings for sale by owners, calling your sphere, 9-month rentals, apartments. There's just so many places that you can go. The number one is going to be referrals and past client stuff. But that doesn't happen if you don't reach out into your database. Correct. And that's where one, knowing your numbers, and then having some sort of a system, accountability, those kind of things can be so crucial. This is the accountability form that we use, and we encourage you to have some form of accountability. If you need it, please. This is the accountability form. This is our accountability form that we use every week here. So we encourage you to come in, do that, and like we don't want you to be that 24% that's thinking about leaving over the next 2 years. But if you're just pushing everything off and waiting for the leads to come to you and want to be very passive about it, and then wonder, I don't know, maybe this isn't for me. Well, then you're right. Maybe this isn't for you. Like the folks that knock it dead in real estate, they're the ones that get out and they show up and get the work done. They make their phone calls. They set their appointments. They send out property alerts. Those are like the core things that you need to be doing every single week. Yep. Now, if you need other ideas, we have Tom Ferry coming up.
It's a great summit, y'all.
22nd, 23rd, 24th of August. It's 3 separate days with different content on all 3 days. It's not just one day, same thing again and again. Different content. We try and do it just like they do it if you were to actually attend the summit in person, kind of thing. No cost for this. You know, if you go there, it's going to be like $800 to go. Plus, you got to eat. Plus, you got to live there and get there and all that kind of stuff.
Hotel, transportation, and also come to our in our office. Sign up for it.
Yep.
The registrations are mx1training.com. So you can pick a location. If you want to bounce around different locations, that's fine. Just let us know where you're going to be.
And then this week, tomorrow, we have bulletproofing your contracts. It's going to be in person over at our county's office with my lovely bride. I might show up too. On Thursday, we have 2 different CE classes on Thursday. We have next level business planning for the real estate professional. That's going to be in Fayetteville. And then advertising, branding, and online marketing. That's going to be in the Carrollton office on Thursday as well. So we hope that you guys have a great week. If we can be of any kind of service, please call, text, smoke signals. We answer it all.
Thank you.
Have a great
Have a
week.
wonderful Monday.
Thank you, guys.